What's going on, guys? I'm doing a couple things today. I am mainly doing water changes, and I woke up with this idea that I need to cleanse this room because it's off the walls, crazy, disorganized. I'm throwing away a ton of stuff. I'm organizing my foods, and I'm looking for a good way to kind of like organize my foods. Some experienced fish keepers told me that you should seal your food in a sealed fashion so that the smells don't expel into the air of your fish room. Because people with fish rooms like myself and others, when you get a bunch of tanks, you don't realize that this stuff stinks, except you get used to it. It's like walking into a fish store and you go, ooh, that's a new stink, you know, and that happens in your fish room. And the fish food essentially is one of the biggest reasons that happens. Sorry, I just chugged a Mountain Dew and I'm all jacked up right now. And like I said, water changes, cleaning, this room is a disaster. And thirdly, I'm reaching out to a bunch of suppliers today. Like a month ago, I got a supplier known as Decky. They sell an aquarium LED on Amazon. They gave me a promo code of 50% off to give to the Facebook groups and my YouTube channel, and that was awesome. They underestimated it. They completely sold out of the lights, and I'm just reaching out to give you guys good deals, and I don't know. Anyways, today's topic is the tinfoil barb. I know I don't have a lot of barb videos because I don't keep a lot of barbs, but barbs can be a great fish, especially for cichlid tanks, because they can spread around aggression very well. I'm gonna quit blabbing. Let's flip the cam and talk about the tinfoil barb. One of the most important things to know about the tinfoil barb is there's actually 5 different subspecies of this specific genus. And what it comes down to is some of them grow a lot larger than others. For instance, like the red-tailed tinfoil barb is going to be a lesser of size, maybe like around 10 inches, full size and growth, whereas the tinfoil barb without the red tail can get up to 14 inches long, which is crazy. I specifically wanted some footage here from a Petco or a PetSmart, which is a big chain store, because these fish look completely harmless and small and just categorized as a general community fish. But like I said before, they can grow anywhere from 10 to 14 inches when full size. And that's why you will commonly see these things at a massive size when somebody brings them in, because they get too big for their tank. And I always see them at fish stores when people bring them in as surrenders. Here you can see these things get huge. Credit to Rick Ferguson. This is a awesome tank, and I just wanted to show you guys the adults and how big they get. He was telling me how he uses the barbs as almost a buffer to help control a lot of the aggression from the more aggressive cichlids. Even though tinfoil barbs get huge, they're not as aggressive as a lot of the other fish that grow to this size. And they kind of remind me of a giant goldfish. They swim around non-stop. It's common for them to like almost stress other fish out because they're just constantly moving, and the fish just never stops essentially. I know personally, I've talked to some of my friends that are cichlid keepers, and I have mentioned to disperse aggression to go with some big barbs in their tank. And it seems like cichlid keepers just kind of look down on the idea. And I will claim myself that I'm not very enticed by keeping barbs like this. I don't know what it is about tinfoil barbs or just barbs in general, but they just kind of, they're almost like they're not as cool in the hobby. And I don't know, maybe that's for a specific reason, or people just don't like the way they look or how they act. It's really up for debate, but I've never really kept large ones, and yeah, I don't know, I think it's worth being said that they're not very popular. As far as taking care of these guys, this is going to be real easy because they literally will feed on close to anything you throw in the tank, and they grow very fast. So just any type of food you can get your hands on. The biggest struggle here is going to be finding a tank big enough to house them in. As you can see, Rick Ferguson here, this tank obviously is large enough for all these fish, and I was talking with him and he absolutely loves these barbs, and it helps kind of buffer out the aggression in the tank. And I honestly want to dabble with barbs a little more as far as buffering aggression out in that way. I constantly see tinfoil barbs as surrenders in fish stores, and I think it's because they outgrow tanks, like I said before, and I've never pulled the trigger. And I think I don't really know why, but maybe I need to dive into it because especially these red tails, they look pretty cool. I would like to hear from you guys on your experiences with keeping tinfoil barbs. If they got too big for you, maybe they outgrew the tank, maybe they stressed out other fish. I actually had that problem personally. I had some tinfoil barbs a little smaller than this, but they were just stressing out some Jack Dempsey's because they just non-stop will just look for food and they just don't stop essentially. I've said that like 20 times now. I'm willing to bet that a lot of you guys have kept these fish maybe and just brought them to the fish stores because, I mean, they're always at the fish stores as surrenders, you know? I guess one thing I forgot to talk about was tank mates. You're gonna find that these are actually pretty friendly fish, and you can keep them with almost anything as long as they don't bother the other fish with their constant swimming around. They're mid-swimmers, they're just basically everywhere. And they're great tank mates when they're especially smaller. They're essentially like tiger barbs until they grow to that next level and hit a maturity. I think it's really cool. You can see here Rick is keeping them with a ton of different fish. He's got some Oscars, and that looks like a pacu, and he has a gar in there. I absolutely adore keeping gar. It is on my to-do list to get another Florida gar, or just essentially any type of gar, really, because I've been obsessed forever. I had issues keeping some gar years ago. Maybe some of you guys followed my channel, but they got too finicky and they wouldn't eat anymore. I'm hoping that doesn't happen to me again. I think I was keeping them in a too small of tank. I know that's really common. Gar really do need bigger tanks. They suffer from actually hitting the side of the tank and bending their spine. It's the craziest thing ever. All right, guys, I'm babbling here. Hit up the comments. Let me know what you think of tinfoil barbs. And there's a couple different kinds, but like I said, the red tail and just the regular is the most common. I've been babbling, but I love it. Fish keeping is life, and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Woo!